She's passionate about telling stories of amazing women who are rocking the world and empowering women to live, love, and thrive. Here's your host, Katherine Gray.
Hi, welcome to today's show. And of course, Live, Love, Thrive is sponsored by 360karma.com. And every week we have on incredible women, as you know. 360 Karma women, to me, are women that are successful ladies that are giving back and paying it forward, and that surely is our guest today. They are the project directors for 50 Women Can. That's 50 Women Can Change the World. They are dynamic, and I'm so happy. Please give a warm welcome to Tabby Biddle and Elisa Parker. Hi, how are you?
Thank you for having us.
Oh my gosh, you guys have so many titles.
Titles.
I had to zero in on this great initiative you're doing called 50 Women Can. But let's talk a little bit about what you all do besides that, and then we'll talk about the initiative. So, Elisa, I know you have your own radio show up in Northern California. We're so happy to have you down in LA today. I know you can't come down quite often.
I do. I often joke too, Katherine, I think for both Tabby and I, or really all of us as women, I could have a deck of cards with all the different traits and talents and skills that we provide and be like, pick a card, whichever one, that's the one you're supposed to have.
Yeah.
And for this one, 50 Women Can Change the World in Media and Entertainment. We're really excited about this initiative. I'm the co-founder of See Jane Do, which is a media platform to capture the stories of everyday women doing extraordinary things. And it incorporates a grant-funded radio program and special events, media lounges, and working in women's leadership. And that's actually how Tabby and I connected. We connected at Maria Shriver's Women's Conference in the press tent about 9 years ago.
On the red carpet.
Mm-hmm. On the red carpet.
Doing interviews.
Right.
Yeah, one of the few women at that time, you were both writing about women's empowerment.
We were.
So you guys have been at this from the beginning and really before this big women's movement has really gotten started. And Tabby, of course, you do so many things. I first connected with you because you train women how to do TED Talks. Mm-hmm. We all know not enough women do TED Talks, and for those that don't know what that is, Google it. But they're amazing talks done all over the country, all over the world, that are game-changing. And you have a great training program where you train women how to cultivate a great TED Talk and how to actually get it accomplished, signed up. I remember sending you my friend Beverly Hyman Feed, who's in her 80s. She's written 3 books. She's amazing. She's survived stage 4 cancer for like 15 years. And she went to you and cultivated her TED Talk, and then next thing I knew, she was doing her TED Talk in New York. I was like, yay, Beverly.
Giving her
I love that.
Yeah.
So, and you have a book about finding your voice as a woman. And then coach and speak and do many things. So
you know a lot of things about me.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure that's like half of the things, but you know, that's the interesting thing. When you meet women that are moving and shaking and doing, they are wearing many hats.
Many hats.
It's often hard on my show to cover everything that they do. So it's so interesting. There'll be people sitting on the sideline doing really basically not a whole lot, and then the people that are doing something are doing so many things, you know, and it's like, how do you all find a balance in your life? Because I know a lot of people say, I don't have time to do this or that, but you guys find the time. Or
people will say, how do you do that all?
Yeah, so what's the secret, you know?
My secret, and I can't say that I have it totally balanced, but my secret is yoga every morning. That brings me to center. If I didn't do that, it would be chaos.
Right.
And sometimes it still is chaos. I have a 5.5-year-old son, a very engaged, active young fellow.
This is a good day to bring this up when you traveled in the rain from Santa Monica to get here on time.
And he has late start on Wednesday, so I dropped him at 10 and then off I came. But
my Uber didn't show up, and you know, even though I meditated and exercised and did all the stuff, like that's how I ground myself in the morning. They say it's so important how you start your day sets the tone of your whole day.
And set your intentions.
Yeah.
Like one of my friends taught me this great mantra you can ask yourself in the morning is like, like, I wonder what amazing things will happen today.
Oh, I love
so if
that.
all you have time for even is just for that one moment, I wonder what amazing things will happen today. And it's just a great way to set the intentions.
That's awesome.
And open it up for magic and wonder, which for our initiative is like certainly at least 25% of that is like wondering what's going to happen next, because
So
it's such a crazy.
Already a golden nugget for our listeners. I love that. Great way to
Right.
start the day.
Yeah.
So how did you all get involved in this 50 Women Can initiative, and what is the 50 Women Can initiative? I'm on the advisory board, so I am blessed to be part of it. And this is, your focus is right now on Hollywood, television and film. So tell everybody, how this became, how it came to
it
be.
came
How
to
it came
be.
to
How did
being,
we get
and
these
what
amazing
it
50
is.
women?
Let's, I'm sure people are curious.
Yeah, well, we started, Elisa and I started as leadership ambassadors for a nonprofit organization called Take the Lead. And Take the Lead has a mission to close the leadership gap across all industries by 2025. So there are all these leadership ambassadors who work in different industries and law, finance, healthcare, media and entertainment, and
To
so
put
forth.
this in lay terms, it's making sure more women are in positions
That's right.
of influence.
And
That's right.
not just more women, but 50-50,
50-50.
men and women in
Absolutely.
senior
We need
leadership
we need our
positions.
man fans
Right.
as well.
And I think most of my listeners know it doesn't matter what industry you look at. I don't care if it's tech, automotive, politics. We are about 15% or less of the people in the decision making. And all we're saying is it should be 50% women, or they're leaving a lot of talent on the table.
It's half
and
of
a lot
our population.
and a lot of good input that could impact the world in such an important and positive way.
And a
Right.
real
Yeah.
way to represent who makes up our country.
Yes.
That's the thing. I mean, number one, I agree with you, we're leaving a lot of talent on the table. But number two, we're setting up a culture. If women are less than 18%, in some industries, less than 15%, less than 5% in other industries, then we're really not creating a world where everyone can thrive.
Right.
Because decisions aren't being made to support their lives.
Right.
Right? So
Right.
that's really the humanity aspect for me is what drives me.
Right.
And one of the reasons in just selecting media and entertainment, first of all, it's because it's the lane that Tabby and I are living in. And, and also when we talk about what reflects our true population, we know that in media and entertainment, if only 9% of the storytellers are women, then how is that really reflecting who we really are? Especially, I have two girls who are, one's a teenager and one's a tween. The media that we see is a reflection of how sometimes we show up in the world. So it's such a powerful influence on us, especially as women and girls. And so Tabby and I met through, we both came on with Take the Lead. I connected with Gloria Felt, who's the co-founder of Take the Lead, about 9 years ago. She's the former president of Planned Parenthood. This is a nonpartisan program, but I bring it up because there is this intersection right now of social change and activism, politics, policy making, and of course, media and entertainment. And Tabby and I were looking at ways, Catherine, to shake up the status quo. Mm-hmm. We knew we couldn't do business as usual anymore to get the results that we wanted to see.
Right. And almost nobody's doing it better than you two that I know in my circle.
Well, it's one of our power tools is embracing controversy, right? So we do that every day in this, both in our own personal lives and of course with this cohort, the 50 women cohort. Mm-hmm. And it's been a phenomenal experience for us. But in shaking up the status quo, we really realized that this achieving gender parity isn't about just going into companies and saying, can we provide this for you? It's about movement making. Mm-hmm. And so for this initiative, it really was around redefining power, which is a vital part of Take the Lead. Instead of power over, power with, power to. Of course, the leadership development and incorporating some of those power tools that I mentioned.
Let me back up just a little bit because I want people to understand. I think sometimes it's a little confusing, like what's going on?
Right.
How do we participate? So basically, I'm going to do the flip side of what you said. So 92% of the writers in Hollywood are men. Mm-hmm. Let's put that perspective on it, which means the programming you see, the TV shows, the movies are all from a male perspective. Right. And what we're saying is, let's make it 50-50. And what you two are doing is focusing on television and film, which is one of the most important industries only because what's disseminated out there affects all of culture.
Right.
I've always thought television and film are the strongest modes of education to the public to really change things.
Yeah, and that was really the inspiration for this, because when we looked at the larger goal of creating gender parity in leadership across all industries by 2025, we looked at, okay, we're here in 2000 at the time, 2017. Things are moving very slowly, very incrementally. We need to move things exponentially if we're really going to meet this goal. And so what's the industry that has the most visibility and influence on our cultural consciousness, how we see ourselves, how we see others? Media and entertainment. And of course, that's where our backgrounds are as well.
Right.
So to put that together and to, as Elisa said, not just go into company, I mean, that's one way to do it, is offer leadership trainings within companies and to support the women in advancing their leadership. That's one way.
Right.
But we wanted to see this another way, where let's take women outside of their companies, because we have women executives, we also have directors, writers, producers, so we have women who are working on set, women who are working in studios and networks at the executive level. Let's take them out of their environments, bring them all together so we can create a sisterhood amongst women in the industry, cross-section of age, race, skills and experience, right? Number of years in the industry. And let's build something where we're not just wanting to get a seat at the table. We actually are the table.
Are the table.
Right.
So, I mean, we have, like Tabby said, executives, women who have their own media companies, producers, filmmakers, screenwriters, directors, women working below the line in production. It's interesting too, Catherine, because we're now discovering that in those roles, they don't often talk to each other. And so we've already seen the value of bringing them together to talk about, like, there are some of us who are like, or some of the women are like, you know, let's modify the system. We're going to burn down the system. And there are others who are like, I'm in the system. I mean, we're all in the system, but you know, and so it brought up, that example brought up an opportunity to have a conversation and a dialogue.
And when you say in the system, out of the system, let's explain to people listening. Basically, you mean like some of the women work at like NBC, CBS, big major corporations, and others are independent producers, but they all are trying to work here in Hollywood and be seen and heard, and you're trying to give them a platform for that. And what it sounds like you're creating from the outside, it feels like, you know, there's an old boys club in Hollywood, and you're kind of creating an old girls club. But I always say nobody wants to belong to an old girls club, but I call it like a bold girls club, where you're going to connect and help each other too. It's been too much in the past of women not helping women.
That's right.
And for my venture with 360 Karma and my vision and what you guys are doing and why I'm part of what you're doing is I really believe we have to change that culture.
Yeah,
and it has to be women helping women. You can't be worried that you're the only woman in the room and feel like I don't want any other women in there because I want to be the only one. You have to bring the other women into the room.
Exactly. Otherwise, you're in that scarcity model, and it creates that old story of women competing against and not supporting. And that we have to eradicate that and really.
Does your training?
Yes.
It
Okay,
does.
so
It
your
does
training
speak to
helps
that.
take people out of that mentality and shows them how women helping women is beneficial to them.
Right, because
I love that.
oppression, misogyny, I mean, it exists in all of us. We've been living in patriarchy for thousands of years. It's in our culture.
Yeah.
So just as much as men, but often women too. We find ourselves getting back into these patterns of power over, of oppressing each other, of thinking, you know, one of the other areas of my life, Catherine, too, is being one of the co-founders of Indivisible Women, which spontaneously happened, and it's one of the larger indivisible groups in the country with over 4,000 women. Our number one thing is like engage where you're at. Like there's no wrong way to get engaged, right? Because we like to compare ourselves to each other.
And there's definitely no lack of groups or events to attend if you just look a little bit.
That's right. I was just going to add real quick, though, the second part of that really is, though, how do we show up to support each other? How do we practice mindfulness and be aware of those of those times when we start falling back into those patterns?
And here's one thing I think that sets women apart is we do approach things a little a lot differently. And so it's so important to have both of the approaches at the table.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And the companies that do that are the most successful. And so if they can really seem to, be open-minded and grasp that concept that having more women in positions of influence and decision-making at their companies actually make them more profitable, then I think they're going to be on board. And it's educating people about these statistics and this research. But I think also, too, people might want to understand, well, how did we come up with these 50 women who are training? And so being on the advisory committee, it was great to be a part of selecting, well, who are some real movers and shakers in this industry who would make sense to be among these trailblazers that we're going to educate and send back out into Hollywood. So you want to talk a little bit about that selection process and who some of these women are that are part of the 50?
Right. I mean, these are, we often say it's the 50 women can change the world in media and entertainment. We call it like the indie version of Time's Up. They are the women who, for pretty much their lifetime, have been boots on the ground, action and results oriented. This is their passion. This is part of their soul's purpose.
You want to give an example? For example, Kamala Lopez, who was the writer and director for the documentary Equal Means Equal, which is educating people about the Equal Rights Amendment and the fact that it was never ratified, and that it's not part of our Constitution, and then the repercussions, what that really means for us.
And I talked about this on a show a couple weeks ago. I think a lot of people don't even know that there's an equal rights amendment that hasn't been passed, that needs to be passed, that these millennials and everyone needs to get behind.
That's right.
That it doesn't exist, and it does affect the rights of women and just human rights equality, right?
That's right. There are two states that have not ratified the ERA. I know that's definitely the focus of some of our cohort.
There are more that haven't ratified, but they just need two states.
That's right. We just need 2 states to
And
ratify.
let's talk about how we selected these 50. So people submitted who they thought would be. Like I submitted Val Madden from Amazon because I think she's an incredible woman that needed to be part of this. So it was people like that. We submitted suggestions, and then a committee, the entire advisory board, looked at all the applications and narrowed it down to these 50.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was a big piece for us to create a diverse group, as I mentioned before, racially diverse, age diverse, skills and experience diverse.
Yes. Yeah.
So we made that very clear to both our advisory committee and to our team, our 50 Women Can team, that was a priority. And we were very intentional about that. And we...
Yeah, it's a great cross-section.
Yeah, yeah.
Writers, directors, young, old, all ethnicities. It's a beautiful mix.
And we had more, this was a very much grassroots process and how we got the word out about this. I mean, you were at our soft launch event in October. It was literally 3 days before that was when the Harvey Weinstein debacle was announced.
Yeah.
It's been like we've been walking into the fire.
Yes.
And we had more applications than we had space for. So many nominees of fabulous women. They are extraordinary women, and we're just so grateful. Like you mentioned, Val, for example, who works with Amazon right now. These women really are the ones who are taking the lead. And so the two components, too, around this are they'll have their big intentions, like an individual action plan, because we want to see results.
So when you take them and you are taking them into this training, this is part of it. They have
that is part of it.
So it's 2 areas of focus.
It's a 4-month immersion where we meet once a month over the weekend. And we focus on these 9 leadership power tools. Elisa referred to the power tools earlier. It's like the foundational piece is about changing women's relationship with power so that they're moving from the power over, patriarchal paradigm that most of us grew up in terms of how, power used over, right? If I have this power, you can't have.
Right.
Over to a power 2, which is an internalized, like you already have the power, right?
Yes.
And let's look at how you're going to use it.
Yes.
And the 9 power tools are ways that women can use their power that they already have, use it individually and use it collectively to make their visions, their intentions come into reality.
I love that.
Yeah, and
I
you
love that.
mentioned-
And that's what you're teaching them
Right.
to tap into and
That's
to utilize.
Right. And you
right.
mentioned, Catherine, the importance and the value of 50-50. Part of this is bringing up the feminine. The media and entertainment industry is such a masculine-based industry right now.
Yeah.
How do we bring into balance the feminine?
And I
right?
heard if
And-
we didn't do
right.
programs like this, it would take us over 100
That's
years
right.
to have gender parity.
We don't have that
so
long.
programs like this are essential
Yes.
to expedite this.
Yeah.
Right.
And
It-
that's why it's so
Exactly.
important
And-
for people to participate.
Right.
in
And if we
every-
go,
in things.
if we
Speak
go,
to the collective part too.
Well, let me speak
Okay.
to something else first. What I was going to say about that is the programs like this, because they are they're training women outside of the traditional patriarchal, more male leadership style.
Yes.
That's what's making the change, because if women are trying to operate in that style, number one, they feel inauthentic.
Right. I
Number
was gonna
two,
say that.
they're actually cutting themselves off from their
Right.
real power.
Right.
So it's like running in place.
Yes.
Right. That's why this type of program and this curriculum is so important,
Yes.
because it is the game changer.
Right.
It is the status quo shakeup.
Yeah.
That's what we're hearing too. As Catherine and I are in the wonder of like what's going to happen with this group, to have women approach us and say, number one, to have this collective sisterhood that Tabby was speaking to. For women to, we have a cohort member who, as a result, this helped access her own personal power to greater level. She submitted her screenplay to the Sundance Film Fest for women in film, and it was selected of hundreds. And she is just so thrilled. And we hear like it's because I have this support.
Right.
Or one of the reasons, I should say, and
Yeah.
having her back. We often say that we have each other's backs. And it's important we model that. A big part of this too, Catherine, is how do we model the world we want to see? So that's collaboration and partnership.
Yeah, well, if you have a group of 50 strong, trailblazing media women around you, you're going to feel more empowered in Hollywood,
That's
right?
right.
Than being a lone director or a
Exactly.
lone writer. Just having that group behind you, there's just
I would say
power
that's
in
the
that.
secret, the
Yeah.
secret sauce.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, some people think like, oh, sisterhood. That's just a frivolous word or something, but it really is the potent word. It
Yes.
really is the secret. We have something in our curriculum that we call sister courage, which is really about, number one, mustering up your own courage, but then bringing another sister along, right? To
Yes.
encourage her, to shine the light on her, to maybe encourage her in a direction that she felt timid about doing,
Yes.
going for this certain financing.
Yeah, because a writer might not be as good at asking for money as a director. But I don't,
Right.
I'm just making this up. But people have their different gifts, and so to team up with people that have gifts that you don't, I always think is the key
right.
to success. It's what
We-
my community is all about.
And we-
360 Karma. It's
Yes,
like
yes.
it's about creating your fate with having a community of like-minded, purpose-driven women around you.
Think of the
So
amazing things you can accomplish.
that's how we're all connected with this mission.
Right. And so knowing that we have these amazing cross section of skill sets in the group. The other component of this program is really creating a new blueprint, a collaborative action plan, which I tell you, get 50 women in the room plus our partners and key champions. It's an interesting process.
Yeah.
Right? But it's really exciting, Catherine, to see what's starting to come out of that. So as this program, at least the immersion portion, wraps up in May, we are so excited that we'll be announcing the collective action campaign that this group is helping to create together, tapping into all of their individual skills that light them up, and that's a key part of creating
love that.
change.
Yes.
How do you show up in your personal talents and gifts?
Yeah, and giving people a platform to be their authentic selves
Yes,
and to
yes.
do what they love.
Exactly.
That's
And
why
put
we're
it
all here,
together.
right?
Right. So
Yeah.
it's like they have their individual strategic
Yeah.
leadership action plans, and let's look at how that all relates to the collective and how we can all amplify one another's individual plans through the collective.
I love
so
that.
that's the exponential movement.
Right, I love
And
that.
we're so grateful you're part of this, Catherine.
Well, me too,
She's awesome.
and I
Catherine's
love what you
awesome.
two are doing, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. And if people want to get involved, the website is up. It's 50womencan media.com. And so please visit 50womencan-media.com, and also, of course, visit us at 360karma.com. We'd love to have you be a part of these communities and to get off the sidelines and into the game. It's a great time to be a woman. Wonderful things are happening. Thanks for being on, ladies.
Thank you so
Catherine.
much,
See you next
Catherine.
week. Hugs and happiness.
Bye-bye.